Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a Warhammer TV gaming presenter, and today we're going to learn to play Warhammer the Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness. This tabletop strategy game of blood and betrayal is set in the 31st millennium, 10,000 years before the events of Warhammer 40,000. It's an epic game with a rich narrative, combining tense and tactical decision making. Let's dive in. To play Warhammer the Horus Heresy, you'll need 2 armies, a measuring tool, some dice, a battlefield to play on, and an opponent to play against. The Saturnine box set is the perfect place to start. It contains 40 Space Marine legionaries, heavy hitters like the mighty Saturnine Dreadnought and Saturnine Terminators, some serious firepower in the form of the Arachne Quad Accelerator platform, and some commanders to take charge. It's a great beginning to any army, whether you're splitting it with a friend or keeping all the miniatures for yourself. For the purpose of this video, we'll assume you're getting started using the miniatures in the Saturnine box. By the time you finish this video, you'll know how to maneuver your troops, unleash brutal shooting attacks, and smite your foe to the ground in close combat, for the Emperor or for the War Master. To fight a battle in Warhammer the Horus Heresy, you're going to need to choose a mission. Then, both players select armies of roughly equal size and get deployed. To win the mission, you'll need to score points, as dictated by the mission rules. This might involve capturing and holding objectives, or slaying the enemy's warlord. Each of these will score you points, and after adding up your points at the end of 4 battle turns, the player with the highest score is declared the winner. Unless it's a tie, then everyone wins. Or maybe everyone loses. This is the Age of Darkness after all. For this demonstration, we're going to focus on just one part of a larger game, where 2 Legion tactical squads battle over an objective. A game of Warhammer the Horus Heresy is played in a series of battle turns. In each battle turn, each player will take 1 player turn. A player turn is split into 5 phases, each of which determines which actions the active player can take, including movement, shooting, and initiating close combat. The success of these actions will be determined by a unit's characteristics. Infantry models, like this Space Marine Legionary, will have a model profile like this, with the following characteristics: movement, weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, wounds, initiative, and attacks, as well as the advanced characteristics of leadership, cool, willpower, and intelligence. Each unit also has a saving throw to help keep it alive. This might be an armor save or an invulnerable save. Vehicles like mighty battle tanks or nimble troop transports have a slightly different set of characteristics. They retain movement and ballistic skill, but add armor facings for their front, side, and rear, as well as hull points to determine how much damage they can take, and transport capacity if they can carry models within their hull. Each phase of a player turn will make use of one or more of these characteristics. In some instances, the non-active player, called the reactive player, may be able to turn the tide of battle by using a reaction ability during the active player's turn. When the active player has completed all 5 phases, it's their opponent's turn. Once both players have taken a turn, the battle turn is complete and the next one begins. Let's dive into our first full player turn. The start phase sets the stage for the battle to come. Within the start phase is the effects sub-phase, during which certain effects begin and end. There are no effects triggered or in play in our demonstration, so we're going to go straight to the movement phase. The movement phase is split into 3 sub-phases. First is the reserve sub-phase, where reserve units kept off the battlefield at the start of the game are rolled for and brought into play. Then it's on to the move sub-phase. Here, the active player will move their units to tactical locations or remain stationary to set up a devastating attack later in the turn. Let's take a look at this tactical squad. We can see from their unit profile that each model has a move characteristic of 7. In Warhammer the Horus Heresy, measuring is done in inches, so this squad can move 7 inches. That's pretty mobile for infantry. If you want to get that little bit further, you can rush. To use a rush action, we add the model's initiative characteristic to their movement characteristic to move a swift 11 inches. That's perfect for grabbing an objective from your unsuspecting opponent. It comes at a cost, however. Models that have rushed can't shoot or charge later in the turn. When you move as a unit. Often, a unit is a group of models, but can also be a single model. This group of models, a Space Marine Tactical Squad, is a unit, but this Space Marine Centurion is a unit on its own. And this Saturnine Dreadnought, well, that's an absolute unit. It's key to remember that units that contain one or more models must remain within unit coherency, so must stay within 2 inches of the rest of their squad, and they can't move within 1 inch of an enemy model. Models also can't end their move outside the bounds of the battlefield, on top of any other model, or within 1 inch of a friendly model that is locked in combat. At the end of the movement phase is the rout subphase, where units in particular peril choose to make fallback moves to escape danger. The shooting phase is when we get to unleash the devastating ranged weapons of the 31st millennium. This phase is split into the attack subphase and the morale subphase. Take note, a unit may only shoot in the shooting phase if it didn't rush in the movement phase. Let's select this Salamander's Tactical Squad to shoot, and this Iron Warrior's Tactical Squad as the target. The Salamanders declare that they'll shoot with their trusty bolt guns, and now it's time to fire. For the purpose of this example, we shall act as though each model in the unit is armed with a bolter, including the Sergeant. A weapon's war gear characteristics can tell us more about how to resolve their attacks. Range lets us check whether our target is valid. Firepower tells us how many dice to roll when making our attack. Ranged strength is used when we're trying to wound our foe. Armor penetration is used to determine whether the target model gets to make a saving throw, and damage determines how the wounds characteristic of the target model is modified after sustaining a wound. We have 10 tactical marines, so we get to roll a whopping 20 dice in our hit test. Their ballistic skill is 4, and after checking our ranged hit test table, we can see that we need a 3+ to hit. So each time we roll a 3, 4, 5, or 6, our attack hits. We discard our misses and roll our remaining fire group of successful hits again. Comparing our range strength of 4 against our target's toughness of 4, we can see that we'll need 4s, 5s, or 6s to successfully wound. The target unit gets to roll their saving throw against our successful wounds, so long as the AP of our weapon isn't equal to or lower than their save value. The reactive player rolls a number of dice equal to the number of successful wounds, and for each roll that equals or beats this save value, a wound is ignored. For each failed save roll, the attacker inflicts damage equal to the weapon's damage characteristic. Whenever the amount of damage equals the wounds characteristic of a model in that unit, a model is removed at the end of the attack. Once all the models in a unit have been removed as casualties, the unit has been destroyed. Some weapons will trigger a panic check in the morale subphase, or the target unit may have to take one if the number of models removed from the unit as part of the shooting attack was 25% or more of their number. If the test is passed, the unit may continue as normal. If it's failed, the unit gains a tactical status, routed, which can affect its ability to act. A unit that didn't rush in the movement phase can charge in the assault phase, but units that are already locked in combat, or units that are routed or pinned, they won't be able to charge. First, the charging player must select a unit to conduct their charge. Embittered by their brother's betrayal and vengeful to the last, the Salamander's Tactical Squad are going to charge the remainder of the Iron Warrior's Tactical Squad. Time to check they're visible and within 12 inches, then it's on to setup moves. A unit's setup move distance is determined by adding together a unit's initiative and movement characteristics. Here we can see the Salamander's Tactical Squad can make a setup move of 3 inches as they advance on their foe. As the charging unit closes the distance, both sides draw their bolt pistols, firing vicious volley attacks at one another, aiming to deal as much damage as possible before they meet face to face. Here, the charging unit makes a shooting attack, making rushed snapshots as they draw ever closer. The charged unit responds in kind, hoping to pick off some of their former battle brothers with snapshots of their own. Any models that succumb to their wounds are removed here as casualties. Snapshots work just like normal shooting, but are less accurate, and can only be made with weapons that have the assault special rule, which includes most pistols. It's time to close the gap and charge. The charging player must first make a charge roll, rolling 2 dice and discarding the dice showing the lowest result. The value of the remaining dice is the result of the charge roll. If the roll is enough to get one model into base-to-base contact with the target unit, the charge is complete. If the roll isn't high enough, the charge fails and the charging unit stays still. In big, fully fledged games of Warhammer the Horus Heresy, there's a challenge subphase, an opportunity for champions to engage in brutal duels, just like you'd find on the pages of the Horus Heresy novels. It's an exciting and nuanced part of the game, but for now, we're going to keep things simple and concentrate on the combat between two ordinary squads. For more on the challenge subphase and other advanced rules, check out the Age of Darkness rulebook. In the fight subphase, the active player will select each close quarters engagement on the battlefield and, in an order of their choosing, resolve a combat round. Who attacks first is determined by the initiative characteristic. Both units in this combat have initiative 4, meaning they'll strike at the same time. As the active player will roll the Salamander's attacks first, but any Iron Warriors that are slain here will still get a chance to attack before they're removed. To hit our opponent, we need to compare our weapon skill to theirs. It's easier to hit the enemy if your weapon skill is higher than theirs, and harder if theirs is higher than yours. In this case, both our weapon skill characteristics are 4, meaning we'll need 4s, 5s, or 6s to successfully hit. Then, much like in the shooting phase, it's time to compare our strength to our opponent's toughness to see if we can wound them. Once again, it's equal, so we'll be needing a roll of 4 or more. It's worth noting that some warriors carry weapons that boost their basic strength in combat, like esoteric power weapons, but in this example, we shall act as though both tactical squads are battling with simple combat knives, fists, and the butts of their bolters, including both sergeants. We've rolled our dice and resolved our attacks, and the Salamanders have caused 3 wounds, but our opponent still has a chance to roll a saving throw, because the AP of our attack isn't equal to or lower than their save value. The Iron Warriors failed 2 saves, and as they only have a single wound each, that means 2 of their number have been slain, but they can attack back. Remember, even though we rolled the Salamander's attacks first, both units have the same initiative characteristic, meaning the Iron Warriors' attacks occur simultaneously, and their whole unit gets to fight. After blows have been struck, we work out the victor of the combat in the resolution subphase by calculating combat resolution points. Each player will score these based on the number of casualties they inflicted, which player controls the most models at the end of the combat, and the war gear they've selected for those models. Whichever player scored the most points in the combat will be declared the victor, with the others scrambling to regroup and avoid being cut down entirely. The losing player must make a single leadership check by rolling 2 dice, and the check is successful if the combined value of the roll is equal to or lower than the leadership characteristic of the unit making the check. The Iron Warriors have failed. The unit gains the routed status and must fall back. As the victors, the Salamanders may choose from the following: to consolidate, gun down, or pursue. Because this tactical squad wants to capture the objective, they're going to choose to consolidate, making sure that they lock down the objective and can score in the end phase. We come to the end phase, which is split into the effects subphase, the statuses subphase, and the victory subphase. Any effects that begin or end at the end of a player's turn begin or end in the effects subphase. Here, units can make checks to remove any statuses they've been afflicted with this turn before the next turn begins. In the victory subphase, it's time to settle the score. Here, the active player will score victory points, dictated by the mission rules that they've played. Our tactical squad controls this objective, and that means this turn we've scored 3 victory points. That was your first turn of Warhammer the Horus Heresy. To take a deeper dive into the game, and to learn some of the more advanced rules, read the Age of Darkness rulebook. You'll find this and everything you need to play in the Saturnine box set, the perfect way to begin building your Legion of choice. Not sure if you want to defend the galaxy or see it burn? Then check out the horusheresy.com, where you can align yourself with a Legion that suits you best. And if you need tips on how to get your Legion onto the battlefield, then check out the painting tutorials available on Warhammer TV. I'll see you on the battlefield, for the Emperor, or for the War Master.